In the ever-twisting corridors of Port Charles, danger often lurks where you least expect it, and sometimes from those you've long forgotten. Just when it seemed the town had finally left behind the chaos of Gladys Corbin, new rumors swirl, setting the stage for what could become one of the most scandalous and unpredictable storylines of the year. Gladys kidnaps Daisy Morrow. How could such a bizarre and dangerous plot unfold? And what would it mean for Sasha, Cody, Sunny, and the rest of Port Charles? Let's dive into a deeply creative, emotional, and speculative journey of betrayal, heartbreak, and shocking revenge that could tear the town apart. Daisy Morrow's quiet reintroduction into the Port Charles scene began innocently enough. Having retreated after the chaos of Dawn of Day, she returned a changed woman, determined to make amends and find a true purpose in life. Slowly but steadily, Daisy carved out a new identity, working at the hospital in community outreach, volunteering at the shelter, and offering yoga therapy sessions to recovering addicts. Yet behind Daisy's calm presence, Port Charles's veterans, particularly Sasha, couldn't help but remain wary. After all, once someone falls under the sway of a manipulative cult leader, could they ever truly be trusted again? For Sasha, Daisy became an unexpected yet promising friend. Both women carried scars, Sasha from her painful addiction relapse, manipulation by Gladys, and the tragic loss of her child, Daisy from her blind faith in Shiloh and the guilt that shadowed every step she took. It wasn't long before the two bonded over group therapy and began building a tentative trust. But as Daisy's star began to rise, hosting mindfulness events, helping to coordinate a charity gala, someone else was watching from the shadows. Someone with unfinished business. Someone with a score to settle. After fleeing town in disgrace, her guardianship over Sasha revoked and her reputation destroyed, Gladys Corbin was said to be lying low. Rumors placed her in Atlantic City. Some said she'd left the country entirely. But Gladys had never truly vanished. She'd been lurking, nursing her bitterness. Without Sasha's money to live on and abandoned by everyone who once tolerated her, Gladys's resentment curdled into something darker. And when she heard whispers of Daisy Morrow's growing influence in Port Charles, especially her budding friendship with Sasha, Gladys's jealousy ignited into a dangerous obsession. In Gladys's twisted mind, Daisy became the embodiment of everything she lost: Sasha's trust, power over her life, and the fleeting respect she once enjoyed in Sunny's orbit. Fueled by her warped logic, Gladys began to plot. If she couldn't have Sasha under her control, she'd make Sasha pay. And what better way than to hurt someone Sasha now trusted? Port Charles thrives on glitz and charity events, and the upcoming gala at the Metro Court was the perfect stage for Gladys's plan. Organized by Daisy and Sasha together, the event promised elegance, healing, and a chance to support the town's struggling families. Daisy, having proved herself as a sincere advocate for recovery, was slated to speak about forgiveness and redemption. Sasha, still fragile but stronger every day, was set to share her journey of survival. The town buzzed with anticipation. But as the night approached, strange things began to happen. Daisy received anonymous texts warning her not to trust Sasha. A package arrived at Daisy's apartment containing photos of her past involvement with Dawn of Day, meant to terrify her. Sasha noticed she was being watched, though she couldn't prove it. None of them suspected that Gladys had returned, stalking them from the shadows and meticulously studying Daisy's routine. The night of the gala arrived. Guests mingled in elegant gowns and suits, unaware of the danger closing in. Daisy, moments away from stepping onto the stage, excused herself to the back corridor to center herself with meditation. That's when Gladys struck. Cloaked in darkness, Gladys cornered Daisy. Her words dripped with venom. "You thought you could replace me? You thought you could take her from me?" Before Daisy could react, Gladys brandished a syringe, filled with a sedative she'd bought on the black market. Daisy's last conscious thought was a wave of terror as she collapsed. In the crowded ballroom, Sasha grew increasingly anxious as Daisy failed to appear. Cody, now close to Sasha and protective after everything she'd endured, rushed backstage to search. But by the time he got there, Daisy was gone, and Gladys had vanished into the night. The news spread quickly. Daisy Morrow, survivor of Dawn of Day, had been kidnapped. Sasha blamed herself, racked with guilt for ever trusting Daisy enough to involve her in the gala. Sonny, hearing whispers that his cousin Gladys might be behind it, swore he'd handle it, but not through official channels. At the PCPD, Detective Dante Falconeri spearheaded the investigation, though his gut told him this case was personal. As Dante and his team searched for clues, a deeper question haunted everyone. Why would anyone want to kidnap Daisy, whose life had seemed on the mend? The first break came when a security guard remembered a woman matching Gladys's description lingering near the loading dock. Sonny's rage erupted when he realized his cousin had returned and brought new danger with her. When Daisy awoke, she found herself in a decrepit cabin miles outside Port Charles, bound and terrified. Gladys, erratic and muttering to herself, accused Daisy of stealing Sasha's love, ruining her life, and trying to erase her from Sasha's heart. Daisy, drawing on her therapy training and past experiences in Dawn of Day, tried to reason with Gladys. She acknowledged Gladys's pain, tried to show empathy, and insisted she wasn't a threat to anyone. But Gladys's mind was too far gone. Her need to regain power over Sasha consumed every rational thought. Over the next hours, she ranted about betrayal, money, and how Sasha owed her. In a particularly chilling moment, Gladys even considered calling Sasha to demand ransom, but stopped, whispering that what she really wanted was Sasha's heartbreak. Back in Port Charles, Sasha struggled to hold herself together. Memories of being trapped by Gladys during her darkest moments came flooding back. Cody, refusing to leave Sasha's side, urged her to stay strong, but Sasha felt the familiar claws of panic and guilt. The press seized on the story. Dawn of Day survivor kidnapped, friend of Sasha Gilmore missing. Rumors spread that Sasha's tragic past had invited danger again. For Sasha, the whispers cut deeply, and for a moment, she considered withdrawing completely to protect everyone she loved. But a visit from Nina changed everything. Despite their rocky history, Nina reminded Sasha how far she'd come and that she couldn't let Gladys win by caving to fear. Steeled by Nina's words, Sasha vowed to help bring Daisy home. Sonny, Cody, and Dante formed an uneasy alliance, united by one goal: finding Daisy and stopping Gladys before she harmed anyone else. Dante worked the official channels, following leads and gathering evidence. Cody, using connections from his own past, tracked black market dealers who might have sold Gladys sedatives. Meanwhile, Sonny, haunted by guilt for ever letting Gladys near Sasha, reached out to his network. It was an old associate who provided the clue they needed. Gladys had been seen driving north out of town in a borrowed car. The clock was ticking, and everyone feared what Gladys might do if cornered. Sonny and Cody reached the cabin first, guided by hastily gathered intel. The sight that met them inside was harrowing. Daisy, bruised and terrified, tied to a chair. Gladys, unhinged, stood over her, ranting that no one would take Sasha away from her again. "Gladys, it's over," Sonny growled, stepping into the cabin. But Gladys spun around, wild-eyed.
"No.
"She's the reason Sasha doesn't love me anymore." Cody, voice trembling but firm, spoke directly to Gladys. "This isn't the way. Let Daisy go." For a moment, Gladys hesitated, recognizing the faces before her. But her paranoia flared again, and she reached for the syringe, threatening to use it on Daisy. Before she could, Sonny lunged, knocking the syringe from her hand. Cody freed Daisy, who collapsed sobbing into his arms. As sirens wailed in the distance, Dante and backup arriving, Gladys was finally subdued. Daisy was taken to the hospital, where Sasha refused to leave her side. Daisy's gratitude was deep and mingled with guilt, fearing her past had made her a target again. For Sasha, the ordeal reopened painful wounds. But this time, she had Cody, Nina, and even Willow by her side. Together, they reminded her that Gladys's cruelty was never her fault. Gladys, meanwhile, faced serious charges: kidnapping, assault, and reckless endangerment. Sonny, though heartbroken to see his cousin fall so far, refused to intervene this time. Port Charles was done protecting Gladys. In therapy, Sasha admitted she'd never fully processed the betrayal by someone she called family. She resolved to finally let go of the guilt and to keep fighting for her own peace. Gladys's act of desperation sent shockwaves through the town. Sonny, shaken by how close danger had come to Sasha again, reevaluated how he'd allowed family loyalty to cloud his judgment. Cody, who'd always kept people at arm's length, realized how deeply he cared for Sasha and began to imagine a real future together. Daisy, despite her trauma, emerged stronger, vowing never to let anyone use her past against her again. Sasha, for the first time, allowed herself to imagine a life not defined by pain or betrayal, but by hope. Even characters on the periphery felt the impact. Nina grew closer to Sasha, determined to rebuild what they'd lost. Willow, seeing Sasha's courage, reflected on her own past grudges. And Dante, once again caught between personal ties and professional duty, questioned whether justice always came in black and white. The question remains, could Gladys's act of desperation spark even more chaos? Rumors swirl that she might reveal secrets she's kept for years, about Sonny, Sasha, or others, hoping for leniency. Daisy's rising prominence could also put her in the crosshairs of new enemies. After all, power, even the soft power of trust and influence, can be dangerous in Port Charles. And for Sasha and Cody, the crisis brought them closer than ever. But will trauma ultimately unite them, or reveal fractures they can't ignore? In the unpredictable world of General Hospital, peace is always temporary. Gladys's shocking kidnapping of Daisy reminds everyone that old grudges can erupt into new horrors, and that healing is never truly finished. Yet, even amid darkness, the town shows its resilience. Through love, friendship, and sheer determination, the people of Port Charles continue to fight for each other and for hope. And as Gladys's fate hangs in the balance, Port Charles braces for the next twist in a story that proves no secret stays buried and no villain truly disappears forever.